My name is Maddie Niebank, and welcome to another episode of NeuroAnimation's Grow Your Brain podcast. In episode 1, we heard my own story and journey with stroke recovery and about the time I spent at NeuroAnimation Bootcamp. Today, I'm super pleased to bring on a fellow NeuroAnimation graduate and good friend of mine, Sara Howanski, who is going to share her journey with NeuroAnimation and stroke recovery as well. I've known Sara for a few years. We've traveled all over the world together: Bali, Bangkok, Madrid, Puerto Rico, and most recently Columbus, Ohio for NeuroAnimation. Together, we have shown not just ourselves, but our community what it means to be resilient and push beyond what people thought was possible. Welcome, Sara, to the podcast.
Hey, Madeline. Nice to see you.
So, I think I would love to provide a little bit of context for the listeners about your own journey. Maybe you could start by telling us a bit of what your life was like before the stroke.
So before the stroke, I was moving my company international. So I moved to Europe and was just being a digital nomad, running my company from my laptop, hopping countries from Italy to France to Greece. And I was in Greece in Mykonos on the beach working out. I'm very, very into fitness and health. And I was squatting a boulder in Mykonos on the beach, kind of hungover, I'm not going to lie. And that's when the stroke happened.
Oh my God. So what was that like? What happened? How did you get, was there a hospital? How did you get?
So there's no hospital in Mykonos. So they actually had to helicopter me to Athens, but then they had to turn around because the hospital was full. And so the people in the helicopter were freaking out because they have nowhere to put me, made some calls. There was an angel of a lady on the helicopter that called Crete, argued to get me into a bed. And meanwhile, I'm not awake at all. I don't remember any of this. My friend was with me, thank God. And
Thank God there was someone with you
exactly.
during this, because otherwise what would have happened?
I don't know. I might not be here to have this interview. But I ended up in the hospital in Crete, and no one spoke English except one nurse. So I woke up, hair shaven, and I have very long, thick hair, so it was very traumatic. And a big scar down my whole entire skull, missing half of a skull, and not being able to sit up straight.
So you had a stroke?
So I had a hemiplegic stroke, yes.
What? Do they know what caused it? What kind of procedure did they have to do?
They are not really sure. They think it was the perfect blend of being hot, hungover, tired, and just my blood pressure runs high just naturally. So I was managed a little bit, but I wasn't taking my pills at the time. I was kind of, in the world of just traveling and just being irresponsible.
That is a crazy story. So when you woke up, you were in a hospital in Crete, not even the island that you were on before, like somewhere new and like kind of random. What was the first thing you remember about when you awoke?
The first thing I remember is this nurse saying the same creepy line in my ear over and over. And she kept saying, "You had a stroke on the beach. We're all doctors here. You're okay." But she said it like so many times to the point when I woke up, I was all freaked out about it.
Oh my God.
I was like, "Stop saying that line to me." And obviously I was already uncomfortable as it was, but there was no air conditioning in the hospital. So another thing in Crete, they don't believe in painkillers. So I'm awake, sober AF, and hot, sweating 102 degrees.
Oh my God. And so how had that stroke affected you? Like, how did you present when you woke up?
I could talk, thank God, and I had my memory, but I was paralyzed on the left side, and that's my dominant side.
I would say, and you, like me, are also left-hand dominant.
I identify as a left-hander, even now that I don't have a fully working left hand. I'm still a left-hander.
We're still left-handed. It's also a mindset, right?
Yeah,
like we have the left-handed.
Yeah, we're the oddballs kind of thing. Yeah.
So so then did you immediately start rehab when you were in Crete?
So I was fortunate because the rehab in Crete happened to be located directly next to the hospital. Mm-hmm. So the guy who ran it, this very handsome Greek man and his wife, they took a liking to me. I don't know why, but they came in one day, saw me, and they aggressively grabbed me out of bed, and they put me on my feet, and I was falling over, very scared. But he was so hot that I was kind of like, whatever.
Yeah.
And,
oh my gosh.
He got me walking very badly walking, but upright within maybe a week, because he saw how young I was, full of life.
So how long were you in Greece, and when did you end up coming back to the U.S.?
So I was stuck there for 3 months because I wasn't allowed to fly without my skull. Mm-hmm. And my father flew over from America. Now, just for context, my father is the most anti-travel abroad person you've ever met in your life. And he got a passport, came to Greece, and took care of me for 3 months.
Wow. That's amazing.
It was very sweet. And I'm vegan, so it's hard enough to nourish yourself in a foreign country as it is. But then being vegan on top of it was very hard. So my dad was very cutely going out and making me tuna salad and bringing it back. I'm like, this isn't vegan. But he was trying his best to like feed me things I would
Seriously.
eat.
And Sarah, when did this happen?
This happened August 2022.
So this happened a little over 3 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, to me, it's like, that's just amazing that it's only been 3 years and you seem to have this incredible, well, I know you have this incredible mindset because I know you quite well, but you have this incredible mindset and outlook on life. And to me, Sara, you're just an example of the fact that we can push beyond any barriers that we perceive. Obstacles are opportunities. And here is an intense, crazy obstacle that you've been faced with, having a stroke abroad, different country, don't speak the language, don't know anybody, and you've managed to make, like, I would say, a pretty significant recovery, both physically and also cognitively. And I'm excited to talk a little bit about that with you, especially regarding your experience at NeuroAnimation. But before we get to that, what types of therapies have you tried early on in your recovery?
I feel like I've tried every kind of therapy, but the standard live-in, which that got me walking. Mm-hmm. And I got to say that the people who helped me get to walking were like the biggest blessings of PT and OT I've ever had. But I came out of therapy dressing myself, walking, and
Mm-hmm.
feeding myself, doing everything myself. So I was very fortunate.
And then, so you came to the NeuroAnimation program with me just a month ago. We just got back in September. It was my second time going, and it was your first time going. But I'm actually curious. When I did my episode right before this one, I was talking a little bit about how I was initially skeptical about coming to NeuroAnimation. I understood the concept of it, and I thought it would be potentially a great therapeutic intervention. But I wasn't sure if it could work for someone like me, who is super chronic stroke. 8.5 years ago it happened. So, I mean, you're a little less chronic than me, but still not exactly like in the
spring
acute
chicken,
phase.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're not a spring chicken anymore either. So what was your thought process and what ultimately made you decide to take that next step and try a new therapy?
So my family was very anti me going, and after I saw the video of you opening the door, because I mean, I've been following your journey this whole time, so I knew that was something you didn't do before.
Yeah. Is that how you heard about?
That was how I saw it, because obviously it got my attention, because I'm like, Maddie's holding a cup and opening a door? And I was like, and that was when I was kind of like, whatever she did at this thing is something different. Mm-hmm. And that's when it clicked for me that it was different.
And you mentioned that your family wasn't exactly the most supportive of you trying.
They were actively trying to get me not to go. And maybe that's half the reason I went. But then I was kind of like, well, now I need to prove them wrong, and I'm going and do my best. Well, I also did a lot of research, and the reviews said nothing but shining things.
So you were also kind of going into it with an open mind and thinking, why not, right? Why not give it a try?
Yes, but I also believed in all of the values and backstory that NeuroAnimation has, like, in their brand. So that also was a big push for me too.
So then you roll up to Columbus, Ohio, beginning of September, like 2 months ago, basically. Tell me about that first day of you stepping into the theater, what it was like. What were your initial reactions?
So the interesting thing about my first day is it was exactly what I thought it would be, except the fact that I was so much more hungry and tired than I thought I would be. I was like, because I work out every day. I'm a weight trainer. I do probably 15,000 steps a minimum a day. And then I also do ballet every day. So I am so active. I was like, oh, this will be a breeze. At the end of the first session, I could have eaten like an entire buffet. I was starving and I was exhausted. And it's really hard to wear me out. Mm-hmm. So I was very pleased with the fact that whatever I was doing, it was working me.
What did you think about the actual program itself, being in the theater? Like, what were your initial reactions there?
I think it made a lot of sense, almost to the point where it kind of made me mad. Almost like, why has this not been something I've been doing this whole time?
One thing I remember, Sara, when we were on that first day, I also was immediately after the first 3-hour session. It's a long time to be engaged in just doing therapy, and you're in there moving your arm all over the place in ways that you haven't done previously. and you're doing all these like functional exercises too, it's just like, it's a lot. It's overstimulating. It's overwhelming. And I remember going to bed at like 8 p.m. and it's because like so hungry, so tired, but that's how your brain like grows and rewires, right? But so that was your reaction on the first day. But can you talk to us a little bit about how you felt as the program progressed and like what kinds of gains you started to see? Because I know you had some pretty significant ones.
So as the program progressed, I feel like I got more and more out of it because I knew what to do, if that makes sense. And then I also think that I believed in it more. So it was allowing my brain to do more recovery because I just was more invested in it. I felt like gain-wise, the first thing I immediately saw was my last three fingers, my pinky, my ring finger, and my middle, moved more than they ever moved. I actually picked up a dice and let it go, which was huge for me because I've never opened my hand enough to let anything go.
To be able to pick up something like so small, right?
I mean, it was only like an inch, but that inch obviously matters.
Of course. And that's how it starts, right?
Mm-hmm. And I was able to move my pinky before I came to the program, but I wasn't able to move it as regularly as on command as I was.
That's how I felt too. It's like the consistency of it. That was something that I always struggle with. And I still, especially for me, like my thumb is so pesky. My thumb is like the hardest one to be able to control.
It's interesting how like everyone seems to have a finger that's like their naughty one.
The naughty finger.
Yeah.
Definitely the thumb for me.
So mine is my pointer finger, which is ironic because I just want to be able to point at someone with my left hand.
Yes.
But my thumb actually has been coming back more than ever since I come home, actually.
So Sarah, what kinds of other gains have you noticed since you've come back?
So one of my favorite gains has been my gait and my speed of walking. So I live in Philadelphia in the center of town, like I was saying, and I kind of was on the slower side of walking. I still am. I'm still getting my speed up. But walking in general, my gait looks so much more smooth and natural, and I'm in so much more control over my steps.
I feel like, I mean, that in and of itself is a huge improvement. I've had people say to me too, like, oh, you look like you're walking so much better. And like, I was a pretty fast walker.
You are definitely walking better, which I didn't even know it was possible.
But
if you guys don't know this, Maddie's an amazing walker. She walks faster than people that never had a stroke. But
I do. My friends will always say,
her
like,
walking got better.
You had a stroke and you walk faster than I do. I'm like,
my ex-boyfriend Tommy was like, why is she walking this fast? This is like freakishly fast.
I'm a New Yorker, Sarah. So, okay, so you talked a little bit about being able to pinch things. I know you also saw some pretty significant gains with your lower extremity with your foot as well. Do you want to talk about that?
So I'm a ballerina since I was 3 years old, so my whole life. And being able to point my toe in full was huge. And I was doing ballet before the program, but I only able to point my toe like halfway. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the program, I was able to point my toe all the way, which is great. Yeah,
that's pretty crazy. And then, so after, how did the program end for you? Talk to us about your results.
The biggest result that I see and live with that I love the most is my arm. Mm-hmm. So my arm coming to the program, I could straighten it if I sat like and thought about it, but it wasn't like I could walk for long distances with a straight arm. And now when I'm at a party or an event, I can keep my arm straight almost the whole time. And walking up to a group of people with your arm bent up to your chin is just awkward and kind of weird.
I gotta say, like, that was like one of the best things I think I noticed for you, because I know how skeptical you were going into it. And then when you arrived, your arm was literally like bent all the way up, like at your chin basically. And as the weeks progressed, I noticed your arm starting to be like hanging more and more down by your side. And I remember we were walking out and about, like I think we were like going to a rooftop bar or something one night, and I was like, Sarah, look at your arm. It was literally hanging by your side. And that's so incredible, because you're right. It's an immediate like indicator, red flag to someone, like, oh my God, her arm's all the way, like something is wrong, right? Something is not right if your arm is bent all the way up there.
I could really tell when I'm walking down the streets of Philadelphia, because I live right in the center of Philly. And when I walk down before, I get looks like, what's wrong with you kind of look. And now I don't get any of those looks. And it's really nice.
So that's a pretty significant change. I know that you also experienced a pretty significant visual change. Can you talk to us about that?
So this is very bizarre. So I read every morning for about 10 minutes, and I was reading in the morning, waking up early, trying to be quiet because Maddie was still sleeping. And one morning I just was like, I can't see. And I wiped my glasses off, still couldn't see, took them off and could read better without my glasses. So obviously I thought it was kind of weird, but I thought it was a fluke. And then as the weeks progressed, I just didn't need my glasses at all anymore. And then 2 days ago, I went to the eye doctor just to see what was going on. And he confirmed that my eyes are totally different than pre
Wait,
boot
that
camp.
like that's so crazy to me that you could see like such a big like vision change as well. Like I knew that this worked for the physical and the cognitive, but I did not know about
It's interesting because I
vision.
only improved like 5 points. Like I was 20/30 and now I'm like 20/25 or something. But it's just a different 5 degree. It's totally different though. So what me and my eye doctor suspect is that my eyes would have done this if I didn't have a stroke anyway. But then this other stuff that healed up was the stroke caused vision impairments. That's our theory.
Interesting. Has it been any different for you since you came back from the program?
It's been hugely different in the fact that using my hand is so much easier to open. And it's before the program, I couldn't even get my hand in a splint to go to bed with a brace on. It was like wrestling an alligator before I went to bed. So I eventually just gave up on it one day. And after the boot camp, I bought another one on Amazon just to try it out. And now I can use a brace when I sleep.
Sarah, another thing that I want to bring up, and I think this is something that might potentially be a little scary or nerve-wracking for other people who are considering to come to the program is, having to travel so far. Neither of us live in the Columbus area, but we packed up our bags and moved there for 3 weeks to go through this program. Can you talk a little bit about like what that was like, or how were you able to do things in the city, or where did you stay? Like, tell us a little bit about all of that.
So can I just start off by saying that Columbus, Ohio is my home away from, I'm obsessed with Columbus, Ohio. And I went into it like this is going to be lame. I was expecting it to be the worst trip ever. And I love Columbus. It's an amazing city. Great. So we stayed at the Fairfield Inn, which is kind of affiliated with NeuroAnimation. And they have a shuttle that takes you to the program every morning. And the people.
And Sarah and I were roommates, by the way.
We were roommates. And the people at the Fairfield became like our best friends. We love them.
That's true. I feel like, the shuttle, if for anyone like thinking about coming to the NeuroAnimation program, staying at the Fairfield and having like the incredibly kind staff there and not just take us to the NeuroAnimation, although they certainly took us to the recovery center. They also would like take us to the grocery store so we could get food and stuff like that.
Take us to dinner or happy hour. They literally were our chauffeurs, and they made it so easy. Like getting in and out of the van was easy. Like everything was so easy.
We saved so much money on Ubers from being able to stay there and take the shuttle, which was great because none of us drive.
They went so far as to like open my packages when I had a hard time, or like I needed them to tie something. They literally went out of their way to make everything so easy. So if you're hesitant about living like out of state, know that the Fairfield in Columbus, Ohio will take good care of you.
So one thing we haven't touched on, Sarah, is regarding the experience of being at NeuroAnimation. I'd like to hear a little bit about, who did you work with? What kinds of things you did, and like what your experience was like working with your coach.
So I was fortunate enough to have a couple coaches while I was there, and I love all the people. I literally legit miss them. Like my heart hurts for them. They're the best. So I was very fortunate in having Santiago as my main, and he is fun, supportive, nothing but like made me believe I could do things that I'm a pretty positive person, and he even had me like tripling down on my positivity. So he was amazing. Then I had one of the newer coaches, Caden, really helped me. And it was so great because by the end of working with Caden, him and I had like a little friendship going. And then Erin, my secondary, Erin and I both shared the love of ballet. So we were literally doing ballet together. We had themed consolidations, which is like the physical part of the therapy.
Yeah, talk to me. We haven't talked yet about consolidation. What is that? And
so the way NeuroAnimation is set up is there's an hour of theater therapy, then there's an hour of consolidation, which is basically like physical and cognitive exercises that include your affected limbs and things that will challenge you, but obviously that you can still do. And you do that for an hour, then you go back into the theater for another hour.
So 3 hours. I mean, yeah, it's very tiring, wouldn't you say?
It really is. And like I said before, I was really expecting to not think it was tiring at all. But the coaches I can't wait to see them again. Like, I can't wait to go back just to see them.
To me, it's so amazing that I had a similar experience where my coaches were all incredible too. I worked with a few different ones as well, but every single one of them, I loved how excited and happy they got. When I was able to accomplish just the smallest thing, it like made me want to work even harder because I'm like, I want to make them happy too and do them proud. And everyone at NeuroAnimation is constantly rooting for you.
Maddie and I had a little joke going that like the qualifications for being a NeuroAnimation coach is just like must be like working physical therapy and being so supportive because everyone's super supportive.
Exactly, and so excited, which I really do think makes a difference. One thing I also just want to bring up that when you and I went this most recent time, Sarah, is we were around a bunch of other survivors who were going through the program at the same time. And I feel like that created a sense of community amongst us and made us all, want to be there for each other and work hard. Like, it was truly special to get all of these survivors together. There were even quite a few of us staying together at the Fairfield. And, we'd run into each other at breakfast or, dinner time and go out for drinks or whatever. And it was amazing.
It was really cool. We ended up building a whole little life in Ohio. It was fun.
All right, Sarah, so I have a question for you. If your story, your stroke recovery journey, was a headline, what would it read?
Jet setter, business owner, recovers from massive stroke and returns to traveling.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Something exciting like that.
I mean, like we were saying before, Sarah and I have gone to Bali. We've gone to Thailand. Sarah, can we just talk for a minute about the fact that your first time traveling post-stroke was all the way across the world to Bali, Indonesia, with me and a bunch of other people from our community. We spent a week there, which was amazing. That your first time traveling is not, let me just take the train to New York or something close to me. No, let me fly a 19 and a half hour flight to Singapore and then a 4-hour flight to Bali. And
so actually one of our mutual friends, Kyle, he's a stroke survivor as well. When we were talking about the amount of time I had been recovering, he was like, Sarah, this was a real stretch for you, huh?
Yeah.
And I was like, kinda, yeah.
But and what has that shown you, right? That you were able to do that, so...
Because it's all in your mind at the end of the day. It's not about always what you physically can do. Physically, I was totally able to do it. Mm-hmm. It was just, it's mental.
Definitely, and I think that's part of, when it comes to recovery, that
honestly,
can be
it's part of what NeuroAnimation makes it so great. It pushes you to do what you actually can do, and not just do what you think you can do.
Mm-hmm. And also, I feel like the NeuroAnimation, it's helped me also reconstruct my own mindset around an idea around what is possible for me. What can I do?
I totally agree. I believe that when I came to NeuroAnimation, I believed in myself and I believed in my recovery. But now I'm sure of my recovery. Well, I always loved to dance and go to raves and go to parties, but kind of steered away from it post-stroke. And then we were at an Ohio State game in Columbus, and Maddie and I and one of our other friends were dancing and having fun. And I don't know if it was just the boot camp, but the combination of just the whole situation, navigating the crowd was so much easier and just so much more fluid. And then when I came home, it translated into me going to 2 raves, and it breezed for me. So much fun. And I've been able to return to that life, a sober version of it, but returning to that life has been awesome.
Speaking of getting back to being able to dance, you and I, Sarah and I, both went to Puerto Rico quite recently to see my boyfriend Bad Bunny perform for his residencia. And that was I felt like a big step forward in terms of recovery too, because we were standing up, dancing all night as he was singing.
Without our braces.
Exactly. So truly anything can happen is the way I see it. Sarah, looking back, what does grow your brain and NeuroAnimation mean to you?
So kind of like I was saying before is that they bring out your full potential, that, growth is obviously possible regardless of where you are or who you're recovering with. But with them and their team behind you, you get way more out of your recovery.
When you got back, how did your family or friends react to seeing you and the gains you had made?
So I actually haven't seen my family since I got back, but I did send them the video of my hand moving, and my father was beyond ecstatic. He was freaking out.
Oh my God.
Because my father, last he saw me, my hand was in a fist and I wasn't able to move anything at all, nothing. So when he saw all my fingers moving, he was crying and freaking out. It was really cute.
At NeuroAnimation, there are a bunch of, different types of assessments that we do to gauge our progress. Can you talk to us a bit about your stats? Maybe, I know we do the Fugelmeyer, the Dana.
So the Dana is the test that we do at the beginning of each session, and that went up for me 118 points from the first day to the last day.
And that one assesses your cognitive processing and reaction time.
And then the Fugelmeyer went up 8 points on my on my top half, and I'm not sure about my bottom half.
Yeah. Wait, that's amazing. The Fugelmeyer is the one we do to assess the more functional mobility related gains. And so, Sarah, to wrap things up, I just have one more question I want to ask you. And that is, what would you say to someone who is maybe on the fence like you were, considering coming to NeuroAnimation, but not sure if they want to take the jump?
I would say that if you're invested in your recovery, this is the best place to put your investment, because you're going to get so many things out of it for your recovery there, but also your recovery back home. And it changes your perspective, your mindset, but also physically changes you.
All right, Sara, thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey with us. It's so inspiring to hear about all the gains you've made from going to being on the fence and like plateaued in your recovery journey to now being able to dance, move your arm, open your hand, and experience such incredible vision changes. You're truly an inspiration to this community, and I want to thank you so much for coming on to the podcast.
Thanks, Maddie. It's been a pleasure.
My name is Maddie Niebank.
And I'm Sara Howanski.
And this is NeuroAnimation's Grow Your Brain podcast. Thank you.